No other animal stares at the ceiling. A dog left alone will sleep, pace, or chew something. A crow will investigate every object in its environment until there is nothing left to investigate. A chimpanzee in a zoo will groom, eat, and stare, but it will not lie there paralyzed by the specific weight of having nothing meaningful to do. Only you do that. Boredom is not laziness. It is not tiredness. It is a distinct emotional state with its own neural signature, and scientists only began taking it seriously as a research subject in the 1980s. So, what is it, exactly? And why did evolution give it to us? The first thing to understand is that boredom is not the absence of stimulation. It is the absence of meaning. Psychologist John Eastwood at York University ran a series of experiments in 2012 that changed how researchers defined the state. His team found that boredom occurs when you want to engage with something but cannot find anything worth engaging with. Your attention is searching. It cannot land. That gap between wanting to be absorbed and failing to be is the precise experience of boredom. That is a very specific problem, and it requires a very specific kind of brain to have it. Most animals do not have this problem because most animals are not built for open-ended thought. A rat's brain is almost entirely dedicated to immediate survival, food, threat, reproduction. There is very little neural architecture left over for abstract evaluation of how meaningful the current moment is. The rat is either doing something or it is resting. There is no third state. Your brain is different. The human prefrontal cortex, the part that sits just behind your forehead, is disproportionately large compared to every other animal on Earth. It handles planning, self-evaluation, abstract thought, and the simulation of future scenarios. It is, in the words of neuroscientist David Eagleman, a prediction machine. It is always running models of what could happen next, and a prediction machine with nothing to predict is a miserable thing. Here is where it gets strange. Researchers at the University of Virginia in 2014 ran an experiment led by Timothy Wilson. Participants were left alone in a plain room for 15 minutes with nothing to do. They were also given the option to press a button that would administer a mild electric shock to themselves. 2/3 of men chose to shock themselves rather than sit quietly. 1/4 of women did the same. They chose pain over stillness. Wilson's conclusion was stark. The human mind does not like being with itself when there is nothing external to engage with. The brain will generate discomfort, or seek it, rather than tolerate the void. But why did this evolve at all? Here is the theory that has the most scientific support. Boredom is a motivational signal. It is your brain telling you that your current environment is underusing your capabilities. It pushes you toward novelty, complexity, and challenge. In a hunter-gatherer context, boredom would have been the internal pressure that drove exploration, finding new food sources, developing new tools, mapping new territory. Anthropologist Jerome Barkow argued that boredom is the brain's way of saying, you are capable of more than this. Move. In small doses, it is a gift. It is the itch that produced art, agriculture, science, and every human invention ever made. The problem is the modern world. We now live in an environment our brains were never designed for. We have eliminated most of the meaningful challenges that boredom was supposed to push us toward. And instead of responding to boredom by exploring or creating, we have surrounded ourselves with an infinite supply of low-effort stimulation. Neuroscientist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan separates two systems in the brain, wanting and liking. Wanting is driven by dopamine. Liking is driven by opioids. Scrolling a phone activates wanting almost continuously. The next post, the next video, the next notification. But liking, genuine satisfaction, barely registers. You end up in a loop of wanting without ever landing. That is why you can spend 3 hours on your phone and stand up feeling more hollow than when you sat down. So, what is the answer? The researchers who study boredom most closely, Eastwood, Wilson, Berridge, all point toward the same thing. The relief from boredom is not more stimulation. It is engagement, real engagement. A task difficult enough to require your full attention. A conversation deep enough to make you forget the time. A problem worth solving. The cure for boredom is meaning. Here is the reframe. Every time you feel bored, truly, deeply bored, your brain is not broken. It is working perfectly. It is a 300,000-year-old signal firing in a world it was never built for, telling you the same thing it told every human who ever lived. You are capable of more than this. The question is whether you listen.